Hello guys, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and welcome to another live feed. We are ending eating disorders using nothing but your brain, and it's so fun to see you guys here today. Feel free to say hello, and it's so fun to see you guys on. I'm broadcasting from my phone. My computer wasn't working, so just like say a little hello. Let me make sure I can see the comments I don't usually do it this way. I want to make sure that I can see you guys on okay. So we are ending eating disorders using nothing but your brain. And when we talk about eating disorders, we talk about any relationship with food that's really interrupting life at how you want to live. So that may be binge eating, bulimia, that may be overeating, it may be food obsession, body hate, that constant hamster wheel of planning and thinking about your food and waking up with guilt about food and going to bed thinking of what you need to do tomorrow because you didn't do well enough with food, that point of no return of like, okay, I've already blown it today, so I might as well go the rest of the way. All of those things are going to be relationships with food that interrupt life how you want to live it. If you're thinking, if I kept this same relationship with food that I have right now for the rest of my life, if I looked back and said, yeah, I lived every day feeling like that about food, is that something that you would want, or is it something that you would not want? Because we get this beautiful gift. And this gift is the time between when we're born and then when we die. And we get to choose what we do with that space of time. And if there's something else that is controlling you, if there's something that's taking you away from being present in your life, being present with the people that you love, actually living, it's this feeling of existing day to day because you're just trying to fix this thing with food versus being able to truly live and feel alive because you get to be experiencing your real life instead of always planning around, okay, like what food needs to happen or needs to not happen for me to be okay. And it's this just constant weight on us. And I'm not just talking about the physical weight and the rapid weight gain. I'm not talking about the health problems only. It's the heavy weight of guilt and shame and failure that we carry around all the time. And that really keeps us from being ourselves. Like we hear so often, and I've been there as well, as, my husband, my kids, my partner, they don't really know me. They don't really know who I am because I'm just constantly in this agitated mood because I'm trying to get this thing with food under control, and I've been trying to do that for so long. So that is what we're talking about, absolutely fixing. So you guys can be in a place of empowerment and truly living in your lives and being present. So hello guys, so fun to see you on. Feel free to hearts and likes. And yeah, I want to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. I'm doing a little bit of a different device than I usually do. So I just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. Give me a little like thumbs up or a yes. And maybe there's, okay, comments. All right, let's see. It may or may not be working, but I'm going to keep going. What we're going to talk about today, you guys, is this feeling of I can work hard, I can do what it takes, and I can beat this, which is a really wonderful feeling in general, right? That determination, like I'm a worker, I can work hard, I can do what it takes, like I'm willing to put in the effort, like I'm somebody who accomplishes. And the thing is that this is a very common quality of people who get a really distorted relationship with food, and in this habit loop that is destroying their life. It actually has a lot to do and aligns with this feeling of I can work hard, I can do it, I'm never going to give up. It's actually one aspect of personality that an eating disorder just really thrives on, and you guys are going to understand exactly why by the end of this live feed. And we don't want to give that up because it's gotten us so far in life, right? It's like, wow, I'm willing to do what it takes. That has gotten me an education when everyone said I couldn't do it. That has allowed me to get out of, toxic relationships and save my kids. That has allowed me to be able to have a career and support myself. It has allowed me to overcome the odds because I'm going to show up, I'm going to do the work, I'm going to do what it takes. And we see success after success and accomplishment after accomplishment with this quality. And then there's this thing with food. And this problem with food, it's like the harder that we try to accomplish, the harder that we try to strive to really, really work at it, the worse that it gets. And it's so confusing. But what are we going to do? Give up? No, we're going to work harder, right? It's like, all right, well then I'm really, really going to do what it takes. And I'm going to work even harder. And so because we've accomplished so many things in that way, then we get into this feeling of, well, then I must be able to accomplish this way, right? It's like, wow, I gave up drinking, I gave up smoking, like all of these things I was able to accomplish because I am a worker and I'm going to work hard. And so we don't lean away from it. We lean into it more and more. And it actually makes the problem worse. Because what you can do, if you're a worker, if you're somebody who is truly committed and does the work, is you can restrict for longer than other people. You can do things that aren't helping when you don't know they're not helping. You're hoping that they're going to help. But you can keep on doing things where you're not seeing results for a really long time, where somebody else would give up, but you don't give up. You're not somebody who gives up. You're somebody who's going to put in the work. And if I just keep on working, and if I just keep on adjusting, if I keep on trying this. And what happens is that because you're so strong, the discouragement doesn't get you down. It may be difficult, but the discouragement just fuels you. You know what? I've been trying so hard to stick to this diet. I've been trying so hard to not eat sugar. And I binged on sugar. But you know what? That's just going to fuel me. That's just going to make me work even harder the next day. I'm going to put even more in place. And so what happens is we find more and more ways to work harder and harder. And as we keep on striving and working harder, it feels more difficult, but we feel stronger and stronger because like, wow, look at what I'm overcoming. Look at everything that I'm doing. And so that discouragement just fuels you. You don't see results, but you're just going to keep on working even harder. You're just going to push even harder. But you can only go so long and so hard and see things get worse and still be okay, either mentally, physically, psychologically, like all of those things will break down. So every time that we do something that doesn't work, that makes it worse, even if we don't know what it is, when we go right back into those old patterns, when we thought this was the time and this was going to work, and oh, I thought that if I just tried harder, if I just put this in place, then that discouragement really wears us down, even if we're numbing through it and pushing through it and saying, I'm just going to try even harder. And your body and mind will respond, absolutely will respond. So this is what it looks like. I'm just going to try so hard to eat this way. No matter how many times I binge, I'm going to get up the next day. I refuse to give up. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep on trying more extreme things to try to keep myself in control because I'm never going to give up. And then all of a sudden you have an autoimmune disorder. And your body is sending you that signal of like, hello, this isn't working. How much longer are you going to keep on beating this old drum? This is the definition of insanity, right? Of trying the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results. But when you're a worker, when you are really set on accomplishing this, what happens is that you start blaming yourself. Oh, well, it's not the thing that doesn't work. It's me, right? It's just like, I've just got to dive deeper into me. I've just got to try harder. I've just got to have more willpower. And so it becomes insanity, but your body starts sending you signals. Okay, here's an autoimmune disorder. Slow down. This is not working. This is hurting us. So what do? Because we're workers and we're accomplishers. We're going to deal with the autoimmune disorder. Now we're going to go and we're going to do a whole different diet that's going to not only help us to lose the weight, but it's going to help us to end this autoimmune disorder. It's going to manage everything. And now our lives are even more complicated. And then we're still binging, right? Then food allergies come up. What? I've been so out of control with food. I've been trying to control everything. And now I'm suddenly allergic to gluten. Now I can't have dairy. Okay, well, that makes it even more complicated. But I'm a worker, I'm a striver, I'm going to figure it out. So now we cut out those things. Then we start binging on those things. Now I'm binging on gluten. Now I'm making myself sick for days and days and days because I'm out of control. So I guess I just need to try even harder with the same things that I've tried. But you're not thinking of them as the same things because you're thinking, well, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do a different approach. I'm going to do it with willpower now. I'm going to do it with managing all my emotions now. And so there are these other layers that we put on. And hello guys, so fun to see you on. It's amazing to see all of you here on the live feed. Feel free to say hello, let us know you're here. Feel free to ask any questions and just say hi, hearts and likes. And it's really fun to see you guys here. All right, beautiful. So your body responds, right? It puts more and more layers in the way because it's trying to send you a signal but then you're just fueled by when things get harder, then you just work even more. And then it's your psychology that is linked absolutely with what's physically happening. But the stress, the anxiety, this unshakable feeling of, that deepness of depression, that feeling like something's always going to go wrong, you're walking on eggshells all the time. And then it starts manifesting as panic attacks. And then you start thinking there's something really wrong with you. Oh, well, maybe this is it. Like, I've got to dive into all the psychology of what might be making me do this because I'm stressing out so much about food. And so again, we're striving even more as our body sends us more and more signals. So now we've got an autoimmune disorder, and now we've got panic attacks happening, and now we're on anxiety medication. And the more that we try and the worse things get, there gets to this point, this tipping point, where things break down and things max out. I remember this place, you guys. I remember when I was working full-time on supporting my family, on putting everything into my career at the time, and I was putting even more time in the day into my eating disorder. I was reading every book, I was listening to every podcast, I was spending hours a day, like ingesting all of that, hours a day planning my meals, trying to make everything perfect, tracking all my triggers, finding all the apps and the spreadsheets and everything that would go together, the perfect thing that could track everything that I needed to track. And I'm a worker. Me too. I'm absolutely I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to work harder than anyone else. And I did. But honestly, I couldn't have worked any harder. I was doing everything. And these are the sorts of things that we hear people say when they're in this same pattern is, I worked so hard on losing weight. I've lost 100 pounds and I put everything into it. And then when I was almost at my goal weight, then I started binging and I'm sabotaging myself. And now I've gained back 30, 50 of the pounds that I've lost. And I worked so hard for so long to accomplish this. And I don't know that I could do it again. I don't know how many times I can lose 100 pounds. Knowing that I'm older every time, it gets harder every time, I feel like I have less willpower. And looking up at the journey of climbing that huge mountain again and again and again, when you know that when you're almost at the top, you're going to be right back at the bottom, it gets really discouraging. And so it's I don't know if I can do that again. Or it's harder the more weight that I lose. It's crazy. It's that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to lose this weight, but then as soon as I start getting there, then I start sabotaging myself and it gets harder and harder. It's the more that I try to cut out sugar, the stronger my sugar cravings get. What is that? I'm trying to work really hard. I'm trying to do everything that I can. So why is it that the harder I work, the harder that it gets? That's so incredibly frustrating. And so that sabotage makes it even harder still. And so it's just these layers and layers of this getting more and more difficult. And the hard part is, another hard part, is that we start doing more and more extreme things. And so, okay, well, how hard I'm trying here isn't working with these 10 things. So what I need to do is, although I know it's not healthy, although I know that I'm a smart, educated woman, doing these diet pills this one time, I know that there can be heart damage, but wouldn't it be worth it to be able to finally get control over this? Because I'm working so hard and I just need a break. I just need to feel some sort of success. I just need to know that my hard work is paying off. So I'll just take these pills this one time. I'll just do these stimulants this one time. I just need a little bump of something to get me through the day because I'm just so exhausted from this. And I've still got to be able to do everything because you're not just a worker with your eating disorder. Oh, you're a worker in every area of your life. You're the perfect mom and you're the perfect career person and you're going to do all these volunteer things and you're going to volunteer at your church and you're going to head this organization and you're going to do this project and you're still going to do all of those things. But you can't do it with the amount of energy that you have right now because of this problem with food. So then you're looking to outside sources or chemicals or drugs or whatever it is, if you want to call it a prescription, okay, to just get through it. And then you start trying more and more extreme things. This is, I would never, ever get surgery. I would never literally amputate my insides to try to force myself to not eat. That's nothing I would ever do. And then you're making the appointment to see if you can get approved for that surgery. You're starting to do the things that you told yourself that you would never ever do. And this is the journey of what happens the more and more extreme that we get, because we can't imagine ourselves working any harder. And so we're trying so desperately to have anything that will just give us a little bit of feedback of that it's working. And here's the big problem, is that you can work harder and harder and harder on something that doesn't work. And no matter how hard you work, it's never going to make it work. You're never going to see those results. It's using your whole life and all of your energy to climb up this ladder, and then you realize the ladder is against the wrong wall. This is when people come to us after 25 years of therapy and say, there's nothing else to talk about, and I've worked through everything. And I've proven over 25 years that that doesn't fix this problem, because I've gained 75 pounds during that time. It's I have been dieting for my entire life, and now I am 60 years old, and I am the heaviest that I've ever been after 45 years of dieting. This must not work. I have been trying to get off of sugar for the last decade. And every single time that I get to a certain point when I've had no sugar, and then I actually binge on sugar, I'm eating more sugar than I would have if I just let myself eat sugar the whole time. And it's really clear that it's not working, but we don't know what else to do. And that is exactly why people come to us from all over the world, because they can see the sort of results that our clients get. These are not people who haven't tried. These are people who have done everything. These are people who have exhausted all of their time and their resources and their funds and their energy on 100 different things. And a lot of them they've done 5 times. But they can see that it isn't working. And so they come to us after trying everything, and it's this huge relief to finally see results. You guys have seen the freedom stories. If you haven't, go to lydiavideo.com or lifewithlydia.com. You can literally see hundreds of testimonials and freedom stories. We've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people all over the world to finally fix this. And what we hear over and over and over and over is people say, we hear this from our clients constantly, this is so simple. This is nothing like anything I've ever done, and it's so simple. And so when you do what works, there's this incredible relief. And I want you guys to understand the stages of when you start doing what works, right? So when our clients come to us, a lot of times they really want to overcomplicate it, right? Like they want to say, okay, well, but what about this? But I'm not tracking this, but I'm not doing this, but I'm not writing down this, but I'm not journaling this, but I'm not eating this way. Like, how can I possibly get free without working so hard? And we give them permission to just do simply what we're telling them, which feels way easier than anything that they've ever done before. It's work and it's effort, but it's not the 10 hours a day effort that they've been used to throwing into this. And so they get used to the process and they trust the process, and they're like, wow, this is so simple. And then they see incredible results very quickly. And then for a lot of people, they get mad a little bit. They get mad that they've been lied to by the diet industry for 42 years. They get mad that it was so simple the whole time, and that the things that they were doing for the last decade was actually part of the problem and that made it worse. They get a little angry that the very medicine that they were given by society to fix this problem was the very poison that made them sick, and that they'd been downing that for all this time. Sometimes people go through a bit of grief with how they've altered their bodies, that their insides are permanently rearranged because they went and they got surgery because they thought, what else am I going to do? And now they're going to have to live on these supplements for the rest of their life and do follow-up appointments. Some people have spent over $30,000 on just the complications from the surgery that they had to go back. So there's a little bit of grief and there's a little bit of anger because, are you kidding me? It was this simple the whole time? Why aren't people talking about this? Well, it's because the diet industry is a $66 billion industry. So people find us, people come to us, and we fix their problem. They don't have an eating disorder anymore. But there's $66 billion of advertising that's telling them that, oh, it's just this new shiny thing this year. Look all your friends' before and after pictures. Like, don't you want to do this? How about the after pictures? How about the 2 years later? How about the 6 months later? How about how somebody actually feels inside when they're posing in that after picture and they are terrified of gaining that weight back because they have stronger cravings for sugar than they've ever had in their life? Like, that's why we do interviews on our channel that's like, hey, here's Kelly 2 years later, or here's like, Liz like 5 years later. It's like, yeah, permanent freedom means permanent freedom for the rest of your life. And so the journey is that there's like this, okay, I can't believe it's as simple. And then there's a little bit of like maybe some anger and some, grieving of the damage, the lost time of doing things that didn't work. And then it transitions into this deep gratitude of, I'm so happy to finally be free. I'm so glad to finally know how to not hurt myself anymore. That cravings, that sugar, that chocolate, that carbs, they have no control over me. It's so nice to be able to wake up in the morning and not even know I'm not going to binge, but not even think of that. Like, why would I do that? It becomes really this foreign thing. It becomes this foreign idea of like, people who have literally been purging 14 times a day. Like, I'm thinking of a specific client, 14 times a day is how many times that she was purging on average every single day. And when she was done and free of her eating disorder, it's like that thing that felt like had such hold on her and took her totally out of control. Like, she couldn't even imagine doing it. Like, she couldn't imagine wanting to do it because her brain was different, because her brain had changed, because she had ended her eating disorder using nothing but her brain. And she finally got the help to really know how. But here's the danger of this, you guys, is when you do what works and what gets you free, it's a wonderful thing. But the longer that you delay doing that, the worse it gets. There is a threshold for everyone where you can only take so many failures. There is a point where you do give up hope. And you can go longer and longer like this when you're such a hard worker. So there might be people that don't have the work ethic that you do that give up on this, and that honestly might find us sooner and get the help that they need because they've given up on the old way sooner. But for those of us who are just like workers, and I'm going to make this work, and I'm going to, make myself be successful, and this is the way that I quit smoking, so I'm sure I can do it with food, and this is the way that I succeeded in life, so I'm sure I can do it with food. Open your eyes and just ask yourself, is your way working? And if not, then you've got to get the help that you need to be able to know what works to be done with this. But the more of a worker and the more of a striver that you are, the more in danger you are of continuing with failure after failure after failure, because you're good at picking yourself up. And there will be a point where not even we can help you because you've had so many failures doing things that didn't work. You don't trust anyone anymore. You don't trust yourself anymore. You've given up on this. And that's really when people go to, it's a heartbreaking place, but it's, I don't want to live anymore. Or, you know what, like, I don't think I would take my own life, but I'm just going to die one day at a time, and I'm just going to check out of life, and I'm just going to exist from day to day. And at that point, when you've given up hope, not even we can help you. Nobody can help you. There's nobody who gets to the other side of this that has already given up on ever getting to the other side of this, because they're not reaching out for help anymore. They're not continuing to look. They're not continuing to get wise to the idea that their way isn't working. They're in a place where they will live with this for the rest of their life. But I know that if you guys are listening to this right now, that you're not there. But you will be there at some point. There is an amount of failure where you will give up. And that's why it's so important to fix this right now. Whenever I talk to somebody who says, it is my top priority to fix this, I just need to try some other things first. It is my top priority to fix this, I just need to try my way a little longer. It is my very, very top priority to fix this. I'm certainly not going to let this get passed on to my kids. That's not the kind of mom that I am. Sure, they're already showing eating disordered behaviors, but I'm sure they're going to be okay. Like, I just need a little bit longer. I just need to think about this for a day. I just need to think about this for a week. I just need to talk to some other people. The reason that we stand so strong for people when they have literally their eating disorder talking to us, Because if your eating disorder can just get you to delay fixing this by one day when you have the answer right in front of you, it's a death sentence. Like, it is never harder to fix an eating disorder than when you have the answer right in front of you, and then you believe your eating disorder when it says, just take a little while, think about it. You certainly can't choose your freedom right now. Don't you need to do this other thing? Well, you certainly can't do this until you lose your weight. You certainly can't do this until your kids are grown. You certainly can't do this while you don't have time. You certainly can't do this before you ask 5 people. That right there is your eating disorder. Because if it can delay you by one day when you have the answer right in front of you, then it can delay you by one day for the rest of your life. And that's when people look back and they realize, wow, it's been 40 years. Now my kids have an eating disorder. Now with my health problems, I can't even play with my grandkids because of what the eating disorder has done to me. And there's damage that cannot be fixed. It's permanent, irreversible damage. And you guys deserve more than that. You deserve a life where you can be free. It is a beautiful thing. We get to see this every day. We get to see people that are standing up for themselves and able to have everyone around them just see who they really are, to finally be able to receive love and give love, to be able to relax, to be able to be there in front of their children and know that they're actually there, to be able to go on trips and be active with their kids because their health isn't in crisis anymore, to know that they're not stressed, they don't have this anxiety because they could just handle what's happening in their life because they have the energy to. It is a really beautiful thing to have food be a non-issue, to be able to like your own body, to be able to look in the mirror and recognize yourself, to be able to really truly have that freedom. And so please understand, you guys, you are deserving of that life, but there's a difference between wanting it and having it. And to truly have it, you've got to do what works. And that's exactly why we're here and why we do what we do, because we know exactly how to get to the other side of it. We've done it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and we will do it 1,000 more times, and then 1,000 more times, because there's a lot of people who need help with this. There's a lot of people who are struggling with this. I mean, we have floods of people come to us, especially right now with everything happening in the world. People are really waking up to what's most important in life, and we just have an incredible demand for our help. And we absolutely will help everybody who is willing to show up for themselves with that commitment. That's the thing. We cannot want it for you more than you want it for you. And if you're at this place where you are absolutely committed to showing up for yourself, to doing what it takes, to really showing up in that way that you are coachable, like where you're not trying to force and strive and do it your way anymore. When you're in that place of show me what to do, please get me to the other side of this. We will be honest with you exactly how to do that. But you've got to be willing to show up for yourself in that. So the first step to that is to show up for yourself in a breakthrough session. So we do a free session called a breakthrough session where we are going to get super clear on next steps about how to solve this for you and really get clear on what's happening right now with food and, more importantly, what you want on the other side of this and what freedom means for you. And if we can help you to get there, then we will show you how. And if not, then we'll know where to best direct you. But either way, this is an individual thing. This is not something where I can mass be like, oh, this is what everyone should do and you're going to be, done with this in a day. We know what the process is. And that process takes some time and it takes some effort and it takes coachability so that you can really dial this in for you. But to get clear on next steps about how to solve this, and we have a free session called a breakthrough session. You can go to lifewithlydia.com/apply. Again, that's lifewithlydia.com/apply. And from there, you show up for yourself. There is no judgment. It's completely confidential. And, we're going to really be there with you as the experts knowing how to fix this and get super clear on the next steps about how you can solve this. And we know exactly how to do it, but we cannot do it for you. You've got to be the one that is going to do the work. And part of that work is showing up for yourself and making this a priority and making that time for you. You deserve it. You deserve a life where you can be free. You've got to be willing to step up and claim it. So again, that's lifewithlydia.com/apply. And so fun to see all of you guys on. This has been an awesome live feed. And hello, and goodbye. This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, signing off. All right, bye guys.